Welcome to Hermit Woods, where there's a story in every bottle. Well, hello. It's Monday again, and here we are live for our Monday afternoon. And well, look at that. Where am I? Well, we couldn't be together today, so we are in each different parts of the world. Chuck is in the Lake Umbagog, right? Drinking Dolgo, and Ken is. Where are you, Ken?
I am upstairs in my old house built in the late 1700s, enjoying a glass of homebrewed beer.
And Chuck's got Dolgo, and I'm sitting here with a nice glass of Gigondas.
What the heck is that?
French wines.
Gigondas.
Gigondas.
Gigondas. May we say so?
Very good. Grand Rouge.
So I'm actually in Portland. And I gotta get us all back here. Here, let me
Portland, Oregon?
There we go. No, Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine?
Yeah,
Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine. And every time I come to Portland, there's this little wine shop down by Commercial Street, down by the docks, and I like to always go in there. They got a nice selection of wines. And so I picked out this nice Gigondas to enjoy while I'm here chatting with you. Since we couldn't be together, we're coming at you from, and I'm not sure how my signal's going to be today. I'm at an Airbnb, so we'll see. But so today we're doing something a little different. This is your opportunity to ask questions of the three hermits. We thought we'd just open it up today, be a little casual, enjoy some nice beverages together, and hopefully you have something to open as well. Before we get going, just a couple reminders. If you are here, please make a note, comment, like, share this broadcast with friends if you think they'll enjoy it. And let us know you're here by making a comment in the comment section. We have a few people here already. We got Priscilla. Thanks for joining us, Priscilla. Yes, a beautiful Monday it is, and she's enjoying a glass of Northern Berry. Let's see.
Whoa!
Can I show that?
Very good.
There it is. And Matt's here. Good to see you, Matt. And oh, look who else is here.
Aha!
Noah. Hey. Oh, that's fantastic. So Noah is the latest member of the Hermit Woods team, and I think he's hailing us from Hawaii at the moment.
Hawaii.
He's just and he's going to be joining us at Hermit Woods in the next few weeks.
Well,
thanks for joining us.
Mid-October by the time he makes his trek all the way from Hawaii to New Hampshire.
Mid-October. He's
that's a few weeks.
He's coming on a sailboat.
Sailing?
Right?
Yeah.
His 50-foot.
Yeah. He's riding a triple bicycle.
Not.
He's riding a bicycle across country.
He'll be there in October of 2022.
No, he's riding a Thruxton the whole way. The first
he's riding he does have a Thruxton, yes. He's riding his Thruxton all the way.
So if anybody hasn't figured it out yet, Noah is our newest assistant winemaker. We just brought him on board this week, and he's from Hawaii, or actually not from, but living in Hawaii right now, and will be making the long journey to New Hampshire and joining our team in the next few weeks or month or so. And we're looking forward to having him on board. And we have a few other people. Marika's joined us. Hi, Marika. Hope you had a great day in the winery today. And Lynn Danette, nice to see you, Lynn, Janice, and anybody else. And that's it. So
great. Yeah, Marika had some great questions she posted for us already.
She did, yeah. And we might want to dig in on some of those questions. But before we do, hey, if you have your own question you want to ask, this is the chance. You get to ask. I'm going to be paying close attention to the questions here, and you can direct your question at one of us or all three of us. Feel free, and we'll mix it up. And if it's just sort of a generic question for the three of us, we'll all maybe give a different perspective on it, and answer your questions. If you, I didn't mention this, but if you have not subscribed to our page, please consider. Let's see, it's way over there. There it is. It's over there.
Yeah.
For YouTube, it's over there. So subscribe to our page. If you're on Facebook, there's a little bell on the screen. Hit that bell, and you'll subscribe. And that way, every time the three of us go live, you'll get a notice, so you'll know we went live. So yeah, send your questions our way. But while you're doing that, let's take a question from Marika. She did pose a couple of nice questions. So I'm going to jump over here and read Marika's first question. So Marika asked, "What travel destination is one you would happily go back to again and again and again? Would you see yourself living there even, or is it best to say a place just to visit?" So what is our favorite place to visit that we'd want to go back to again and again and again? And would we want to live there or just visit? Why don't you go, Chuck? I bet you got a few of those.
Yeah. So that's the $64 question. So I am in northern New Hampshire on a remote lake that's mostly a wildlife sanctuary at a cabin with no running water or electricity, except for what the solar panels can produce. And it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. I love coming here for a visit, but it's unimaginable to think of what it would be like to try to live here on a permanent basis. It's the winter, the wind, the everything about this is it's ephemeral. It has a season that's awesome, but the rest of the time you'd freeze your ass off and wonder what the hell you're doing here. The only upside is that, interestingly, somebody put in a cell tower, so I have LTE communication here. So I guess one could work remotely here on the shores of Lake Umbagog, but. So this qualifies. I mean, certainly I've traveled all around the world, and there are many places I could talk for hours about, but that'll be my answer to this question.
Great. How about you, Ken?
When we went to South Africa last January, it had so much magic to the area. I would love to go back there. I think there's so much more to explore and to do there. The flora, the fauna, the geology is just spectacular. And in the 10 days or 12 days we were there, we just sort of scratched the surface of that. The wine is incredible. So I'd love to go back there. As far as living there, I don't, I love where I live. I just adore New Hampshire, the mountains, the lakes. I can go visit Chuck where he's sitting right now and then leave it when it's freezing cold and windy. And come back to my old house and sit with all the woods around me and heat it with wood. And I love the seasons, the changes. So I'm really happy where I live. So I can't really imagine living anywhere else. But I would like to go back and explore South Africa some more.
Amen to that. South Africa.
I concur. South Africa's an amazing place, and there's so much there that we've left when we couldn't do in the 3 weeks we were there. But actually, a couple things come to mind. First of all, there's so many amazing places to visit that I haven't visited yet. So it would be really hard for me to narrow it down to one place to go back to over and over and over again, because there's so many other places I'd be missing each time I went back to that one place. So, but there is a place that was pretty special. Gerald and I went to France, and we actually lived there and lived in somebody's home. We traded homes, and we lived there for almost a month. And I felt like home for a brief period of time. And I would love to have a place in some part of France that I could go back and experience that culture and experience the wine that's made there and the countryside of southern France. It's beautiful. It's just spectacular, and the people there are wonderful, and the culture is really unique and different from ours. So, if I had to pick a place that I would go visit, that would be it. I concur with you, Ken. I like where I'm living, and I don't see myself wanting to leave that place anytime soon. So I'd want to visit. So that'd be my answer. So Priscilla had a question. She wants to know the difference between Adolfo and crabapple wine, and I don't know what
she means. Dolgo. Is. That's Adolfo. I think means Dolgo.
Okay, good, because I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
So,
well, the Adolfo is a new future wine that we haven't made yet. We've never thought of before, but it's quite similar to the crabapple wine. No, so the Dolgo, Priscilla, is identical to the crabapple wine that we have, except that it's carbonated and put into a can, and then Chuck likes to drink it.
So it's basically it's heirloom crabapple, sparkling and canned instead of bottled.
Yep.
So very little different.
Delicious. Did anybody mention delicious? It's made of delicious, right?
Yeah, it's just deliciousness.
Yeah. And it's half a bottle of wine.
I know you like that part.
Yes, and she did mean Dolgo.
Okay, good.
And it puts a gin tonic to shame.
Yeah, I bet.
Lynn chimed in. She wants to make Ireland the place that she would like to visit, not to live. And Matt Dennett wants to live on a barge, or at least visit one regularly. I hope to visit one with you someday, Matt.
One of these days, Matt, we're going to get on that barge traveling up some river in Europe or wherever. That would just be fantastic. And we'll bring along the triple and the double and go for some rides and be fantastic. Wouldn't that be great?
I see a barge trip in the future, Matt.
I see a barge trip in the future with a bike and barge trip.
Sounds like Matt's happy place.
That would be good.
Uh-oh, I see Bob frozen. Uh-oh. Is that me or?
That would be good. Yeah, we're all jumping around a bit here. This signal's a little weak.
Oh. Yeah.
I think the Umbagog signal is better than the Portland signal.
I'm thinking so, yeah.
There's actually only a single user on Umbagog's signal, right, whereas in Portland there's 4 million people using it or something. Look at that view, Chuck.
There's nobody out here. There's absolutely nothing. I'm just like one person using a whole cell tower right now. So there's that.
So next question from Marika. If money were no object, what wine-related purchase would you make first? A trip to somewhere known for its wine, a state-of-the-art wine cellar for your basement, a case of rare vintage, or whatever else you might come up with. So what's the big wine purchase that you would make, Chuck, if you came into money that was dedicated for the purpose?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. So I'm a little infatuated with the auctions that Sotheby's has on a regular basis, and people sell their wine cellar, and they have, for $1,000 you can buy a lot of, half a case of La Tâche or some great Burgundy from, when Burgundy was great and all that sort of stuff or whatever. And I don't know that much about it, but I've just always wanted to just throw a pile of money into that on a whim and see what that's like. So that would probably be a choice for me. However, having been to Burgundy, going there with $100,000 or so and just buying whatever the hell I wanted, that'd be pretty nice. I don't know. Burgundy.
I'll never forget that day we were at Sotheby's, walking along the aisle of the wine shop in Sotheby's, with a $1,000 bottle of wine after another.
Yeah, 100,000. So that's how many bottles of wine? Maybe a couple of cases or something.
Yeah.
That's stupid money, right? But why not? I mean, if that's the question, sure. That's me.
So
How about you, Ken?
if really there was no limit on the spending, I think I would like a good portion of a mountain turned into a cellar, gravity-driven cellar, with large barriques, with cement tanks, with eggs, and everything done by gravity to make wine in the earth. It would be just fantastic. Exposed limestone walls or whatever, wherever it was, would just be a magical place to operate as a winemaker. That would be great.
Yeah,
Wow.
we can make it happen. I know some of you.
Can I give my money in my question to you, Ken?
Yeah, I'll put mine into that too. Yeah, that sounds great.
That sounds like a great idea.
A mountain fountain of wine that's all gravity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before I donated my money to Ken's idea, I was thinking that, for me, wine is more about the experience than anything else. I've had some really wonderful wines, and I really enjoy when I get the chance to open and try some great wines. I've had a nice cellar full of wines that have been fun to tap into over the years, but really it's about the experience for me. So for that reason, I think if I came into a large sum of money that allowed me to really immerse myself in wine, it would be through travel. I'd want to visit all of the classic famous wine regions of the world and meet the people that make those wines and learn about their culture and their background and really what makes wine tick for them. And that would be something I could bring back to be part of our experience here in Merida. And that's what it would be about for me. But I donated it all to Ken. We're building a big cellar in a mountain somewhere, so I guess I won't be traveling to far corners of the earth to learn about wine.
I think that's our next big project, is to build a big cellar and have a mountain fountain of wine. Okay,
we'll figure it out while we're on our bike cross country.
Yeah, we're going to have a few mountains to go over when we're on our bike.
That's right.
Going across country. Let's see. We got another question from Rika. So let's see. She says, what stands out as the best meal experience you have ever had? That's fun. And by the way, I'd be asking questions from others, except I don't have any. So if you've got some questions, please type them here. Now's your chance.
Now's your chance. AMA.
Certainly Lynn has a question for us out there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some questions out there. We'll just have to be patient.
So,
Chuck, you're the best meal ever.
That's such an impossible question to answer, right? Because there's circumstances in time and space that have such a huge effect on what is a favorite thing.
Bob, I don't think I have enough beer in my glass to listen to Chuck's go on here about this magical meal. It's gonna be like 4 more cans before you kind of get through it.
So short answer. How about short answer?
Oh, is that possible?
Do we have enough time and space?
It's the food that is, yes, the meal that is part of the genre of the place, time and place that you're at, that fits the moment, right? Would be those things that are memorable for me. It would be on the whatever that canal is in France, at a little restaurant called Le Cat qui Pêche, and it was an afternoon meal, a French type meal that 7 courses and wine and all the great stuff, and it's this thing that was a restaurant that was I don't know what it was, a warehouse that they turned into a restaurant, and spent the whole afternoon on the Canal de Midi is where it was, eating French food. So that's probably up there. But my breakfast this morning here on Lake Ontario is fantastic, right? So, and not because of it was good food or anything, it was appropriate to this place and location. So there's my answer. I hear Bob laughing, but all I can see is
It's Ken.
a screen of Ken.
How about that?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great picture.
Well, Chuck, you know, like you said in your short answer, it's the space and time and the place. And what comes to my mind thinking about fantastic meals happened just a few weeks ago, close to where you're sitting. We stood around that fire watching you poke the coals for hours, Bob and I shaking our heads like there's no way in hell this is going to turn out right. And then an hour or two later, you show up with this incredible meal. Bob had found these great steaks. You had cooked them to perfection. We sat in that little old rickety camp on the side of that lake.
Yeah.
And the three of us had the best time, the best conversations, the best food. That was fairly recent, so it stands out. There have been many, many fantastic events around food in my life, but that was so recent and really, really memorable. It won't go away ever.
That was on my list.
So both of those are great choices, and would be more than happy to participate in either of them. What was in my head when I was thinking of some of the greatest meals that I've had in my life is the many times that I've had the opportunity to enjoy a meal at the Balsams Grand Resort Hotel.
Oh, right.
There is nothing in my life that has compared since or before to what sitting in the grand ballroom of the Balsams, eating some of the finest food around, and doing so in an environment that entices you to eat slowly, to take your time, and that a typical meal at the Balsams would easily take up 2.5 to 3 hours from when you first sit down to the final course. Those were some of the greatest eating experiences of my life, because they're not just about the food, they're about the people and the place and all of the things that come with it. And most particularly was that one opportunity that the three of us and our wives got to join Chef Barry, the chef at the Balsams, who prepared a wine dinner for Hermit Woods Winery. So we not only got to have some of the finest food at the Balsams, but we got to pair it with some of our wines in our very early days. Actually, it was 2011, so it was in the very first year that we were a winery. So my eating experiences, there's probably not many in my life that have topped what, if any, that have topped what I had an opportunity to do when I was at the Balsams.
Yeah, I'm into that, Bob. That was fantastic. Yeah, that is an indelible experience in my memory that it makes me sad every time I go past the Balsams and
through the notch. Yeah.
Not because of what it was, and we were so lucky to have that experience. I'm so grateful for that. I'm kind of bummed out. I see that the Crystal Quail is come up in the conversation, and that's one place that I have not been able to get to. It's been on I've had it on a list of places to go, and I know Bob, you and Geraldine got to go there, and you're planning to go just before the pandemic as well, I remember. And so I do hope that that's something that we'll keep going. But
it's unfortunate, but as is pointed out by Priscilla, the one of the chef just passed away. So the Crystal Quail is, I believe, is done. I think they've closed.
Wow. Really, it's gone.
I'm pretty sure. Priscilla seems to think that it might be possible that the family's going to keep it going, but last time Geraldine and I were there, and it is up there on one of the most unique experiences that I've ever had.
Yeah.
It was also a 2.5 or 3 hour long dinner with just, actually, I think one of our dinners was just the two of us in the dining room. Nobody else was there. And the two owners, who were in their late 70s or early 80s, provided all the service, did all the cooking, and had been for the last 40 years. So I'm not sure if they've been able to keep it going with one of them passing away, but boy, that was a pretty unique and special place.
Yeah, that's a magical place. Maya and I got to go there too.
Imagine the love that you have for what you do, that you keep doing this when you're 80, right? It's a restaurant work is super, super hard to begin with. And it was just very small, few seats or whatever, but they must have really loved what they were doing. And I think that's the key ingredient to any good food. I think.
Yeah. It was a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's permanently closed. Priscilla looked it up. So thank you, Priscilla.
That's too bad. Things are temporal.
Janice has a comment on a vacation in New Zealand. My cousin and I were fortunate to have a dinner hosted by a local citizen in Christian church. Lamb from neighboring farm, fresh vegetables, and amazing pavlova and New Zealand wines. Great dining, whining, and talk. Excellent. Thank you. I think
Janice brings up a good point, that it is the location. It's that time and space, just like Chuck was bringing up. There's a certain confluence of things that come together, and then that makes those memorable. And you can't make it happen. It just happens from larger forces outside that come together. You happen to be there. The food happens to be there. The ambiance, the situation, all comes together, and it becomes memorable.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, and that's I think that was in all three of our answers. I mean, Chuck's breakfast might have been a small or simple breakfast, but where he's having it and with who he's having it with, if that be the case, is what makes that breakfast special. And that's what made 2.5 or 3 hours at the Balsam special. It was the people sitting around the table enjoying that meal with you, and the experience that results in. So.
Right.
Yeah. No, agreed.
So let's see. So while there's lots of great responses to Marika's questions out there, thank you. No new questions from any. Somebody must have a question. Let me go back to one of Marika's. She's got lots. Let's see. What is the one wine that you would bring to another winemaker to represent Hermit Woods? I think I know the answer. Ken, we're going to start with you this time.
Oh, I was thinking of a different question on that one. That is a good question, though. I like the question, and I thought of this the other day. Maya and I were at the Strawberry Bank down in Portsmouth for their wine experience that they put on each year. Well, not last year, but all the other years, and it's wonderful. There's different purveyors of wine and food from this region, and people come and get a chance to sample those. And Diane Carter came by. She was there from her business, New England Uncorked, and she brought over a colleague of hers, a sommelier, who wanted to try my wines, because Diane came over and said, "Oh, this guy mixes all this stuff up. You got to try these wines," and blah blah blah. And it was really great to talk to him. And as I was driving back from Portsmouth the other night, trying to think of, if I had a somm coming to the winery, or anybody that's very interested in wines, what wines or wine would I want that person to try? And there's really not a single wine, because we have a big spectrum of wines. There's some that I'm very proud of, very excited to have been able to mix and match some things that are really unique and enjoyable, like the Lake House White, like Red Scare, like Hermitage. But there are some really wonderful wines too that are a little less of the easier to reference to the main wine world, like our Three Honey wine, or our Northern Berry Red that someone, Priscilla, I guess, is sipping on right now. I think there's some very unique flavors that we are starting to tease out of the fruit that grows well in New England. So I don't have a single wine to do all that. It would be a number of wines.
That's a different answer than I thought I was going to hear. So that's good.
No, but I agree with everything that Ken said there, because
absolutely,
it's true.
You can't tell the story with one wine.
Yeah, no, it's true. But to narrow it down to one wine, I would first ask the questioner what sort of wines that they like, and then I would point to the wine that would be sort of aligned with that, because they're going to be.
You wouldn't just hand them a can of Dolgo?
Well, no. Well, I might. I might just do that, but I think that right now, if the problem is our wines are subtle, right? So you can't hand any of our crafted product to somebody who's not educated or doesn't pay attention to flavors. They're not going to get it, right? It's just like, oh, well, that just tastes like wine or whatever. I mean, it's not. It takes someone who's paying attention to the wine. So we just had Joe Fiola, the winery, and he's a professor of fruit wine in Maryland.
Right.
His wife had to drag him out of there after 6 hours of trying all of the wines at Hermit Woods. So, but he's the one who spends his life paying attention to all the flavors and things that kind of been paying attention to for years now, and working on formulas. And that for me, spending time with him, enjoying our wines was so fulfilling, because it validated what we're doing in a lot of ways. That's my complicated answer-ish, but my simple answer is, if there's a red wine drinker, Red Scare. I just love it, because they're not going to have any idea what they're doing. They're going to get blown away. Socks are going to fall off.
So that's.
You froze up.
I agree. When somebody comes to the winery who I want to introduce it to our wines, well, hopefully I'll be back soon.
You're back. Yep,
Tell
you're
me
back
to
now.
See you.
Okay, good. So I'm always excited to try and get so many of our wines open to help somebody experience the depth and breadth of what we're creating here. But that being said, in the spirit of Marika's question, if somebody was needing to try one wine, and I wanted to share a wine that really, in and of itself, expressed better than I think any of our other wines, the uniqueness of what we're trying to do here. If I had to narrow it down to one wine, I would pick two. Sorry.
Well, you lose.
No.
And which two? Which two would those be?
I would pick. I'm always so joyous to be able to share Lake House White with people. Lake House White is just such an amazing wine, made up of locally crafted, locally harvested, organic fruits that are unique, different than you'll find in almost any other wine, brought together in a way that creates this really complex and interesting wine that sums up so many of the things that we're about. We're about the localness of our fruit. We're about the small hand harvested fruit that we use to produce our wines. There's so many things that Lake House White speaks to that I think make it a really, really super special wine. And of course, Chuck, I would have to say, if Lake House White wasn't available, Red Scare would have been right there. It's one of those two. They both express a lot of what our winemaking experience has been about since the very beginning.
You know, one of the things that we didn't mention that I think is really key to what we're doing at the winery is what we're able to craft with a single non-blended format, and that is the Petit Blue Reserve and the Deep Blue, or the Deep Blue Reserve. I mean, those wines are a very unique expression because there's just the varietal. It is truly the soil, the microbes, the environment that get concentrated into those little wild blueberries that grow so well in these areas. And when they are fermented and go through the élevage that they go through at our place, you end up with a very wine-like product that doesn't have a lot of blending to create those unique flavors. It's all about that individual fruit.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Well,
so there you go, Marika.
My issue with Lake House White, Bob, is
he's
that
had too many Dolgos.
Yes, Marika. It must be internet.
My issue with the Wake House Light is
stupid internet. Wait a minute.
Nice try, Chuck.
Oh yeah, Dolgo's kicking in. Gonna be fun. I think Lake House White is so subtle in flavor that you can't just feed that to anybody and have them get it. Whoever you're sharing Lake House White with has a clean palate and has to be really ready for that experience, because I think it's fantastic. I think it's unique. I don't think there's anything like it on planet Earth that comes.
Oh, you wait. There's a new one. There's a new one that's just about 6 months from now. Wait till you taste what this Ozark plum and these other things can do. I'm just so excited. There's a whole nother white just about to break through the surface.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to that moment. I think subtle. I think that Greg Farley has a question.
Yes, Greg has a question. This is our first question, our first live question.
Right.
You hear that, everybody out there? This is the first question that we've had since we've been on at 5:30. So, and Greg's question is, what the hell are we doing?
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah. So Greg, real quick.
Who are you?
The three of us could not be here or be together in the same space. We were all traveling in different places this week. I went over to Portland to have a couple days to get away, and Chuck's up at Lake Umbagog, getting away for the weekend, and Ken is holding down the fort back in San Francisco. So we're all in different places and sitting at home. So that's why we're all over the place. And today's episode, for that reason, is really just an opportunity for people to come in with questions. What do they want to know about Hermit Woods? What do they want to know about each of us? And in past, present, or future. So if you have other questions, anybody out there, you have other questions you want to know, now's the chance to get us to dig in on your questions, because we will.
And the uniform part of the question is because Bob's into marketing.
No, I know why Bob's wearing that. He's going into a bunch of breweries.
I didn't mention, but I brought a little of Hermit Woods with me today.
What? I'm
gone again. There we go. Some Cabernet salami and some cheese from this is some smoked cheddar and some rosemary crackers, all selected from the winery before leaving on my trip. Always nice to bring a little bit from home to enjoy with my nice bottle of Gigandas, which I picked up at a local wine purveyor here on Commercial Street in Portland. I'm gonna have a little bit more here.
I'd like to have some
anyway.
of that.
So
good.
Here, hold your glass out.
All right.
I'll pour it into my keypad. That'd be good. Gotta be careful. So there you go. Greg.
I think Marika had another question there about your favorite bottle of wine, and I'd like to hear.
I'll go back to her question. So her question,
even if she didn't ask that, I'll ask a question. So Chuck, Bob, what is your favorite bottle of wine that you've ever had?
Oh wow.
Well,
besides a can of Dolgo.
Back when I was a kid, I raided the basement of my grandmother's house and found, no, I don't know. That was gin, actually. So that's not wine. Favorite wine I think that I've ever had would be a wine I had in Burgundy. I went on a fancy tour there that was seemingly very expensive, and we went to a pairing meal with the wine, and it was the wine was a Grand Cru Burgundy that I got this much of, with some sort of meat dish prepared brilliantly. Grand Cru Burgundy. I hate to admit it, but I don't remember exactly which plot in Burgundy. I mean, they're all like this big, and they're like this Tache, Latache, and then blah blah blah, love Clos. They're all, there's a bazillion of them. Then they're all grown on one little, section of land there, and they all taste different. Apparently, I'd like to try them all, as I had mentioned earlier in the question. So, yeah, that's it. Burgundy, red Burgundy, by far, would be my favoriteest ever.
How about you, Bob? What was your best wine taste experience? Best favorite wine that you've had? Lost all your sound.
I got it.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry. I muted myself because I was mawing on a chip. I didn't want people to be bothered by it. You may think this is a cop-out, but this is really my answer to that question. I've racked my brain for the best wine I've ever had. You know what? I haven't had it yet. I haven't had the best wine because I keep trying different wines from different parts of the world and having these really unique experiences where some of them being, one pops to mind. It was such an amazing experience when we were with Gideon Bienstock in California and trying some of his wines. They were just really, really amazing. And it was partly because I was caught up in the moment, maybe it was because the wines were really amazing. Also, I think about the time in South Africa when we were with Upton Winery, this little hole in the wall winery in the back corner of wine country in California. And this guy was putting out some of the most amazing beverages, wines and spirits that I've had. Just so unique and so special. And so every time I would think to myself what my favorite one was, I think that I just have to keep drinking, because there's so many amazing wines around the world, and I try a new one. I'm just in awe at what you can do with the grape and the other types of fruit you can make wine with. And I don't want to leave out Hermit Woods. We've been making wine for 15 years, and when we started, that we weren't making the greatest wine in the world. We were making okay wine that it was a big learning experience. And watching over the last 5 or 6 years, watching Ken develop those various wines further and further each year, they're getting better every year. They're getting more unique, our wines at Hermit Woods. So there's a great wine experience to be had right here in our backyard that I think is still yet to come, because every year Ken's wines are getting better and better and better. So I don't want to pick one. It's yet to come. I haven't had my favorite wine yet.
Oh, that's good. It's kind of like the food thing. There's so many great experiences with wine. There have been times sitting in the evening sipping on something that's just magical, just wonderful. But there is one for me that stands out. It's kind of like a first true love of wine, if you will. It was provided by my friend Gordon Alexander when I was in grad school. It was a red Burgundy Chuck. It was specifically a 1962 Clos de Vougeot.
Oh, Clos de Vougeot.
It was put up in a half bottle. And the half bottle had been aging in Gordon's father's cellar for decades. He bought it from Christie's auction house. And Gordon had a few of these to share. And it was just mind-blowing. I can go right back to it. I can savor the experience. I've never had an experience like that since, and we'll never forget it.
Did you know, was there hype surrounding this? You so, it's like Gordon just said, oh, well, here's a bottle from the cellar, let's try this now, and it blew you away? Or did he say, well, this is a Clos Vougeot from 1969, and all of a sudden your expectations were raised to?
No, I had no idea. I didn't even know what it was. I had no idea. And he had already been blowing my mind with great Bordeaux's. We had 59 Chateau Margaux and 49 Latours and all these incredible Bordeaux's out of his dad's cellar. But it was and those were tremendous. They were tremendous wines. And this little Burgundy was like nothing else. I just can't explain it. He brought one out to California to share with my folks. He came out to California with me. He'd never been out there, and we took a drive all the way up to Napa and went to different wineries. And at one point, he opened another little bottle of that Clos de Vougeot for my mom, for my brother, for my dad, who happened to be there at the same time. And they were all blown away as well. Wow. I'll never forget my mom's expression when she sampled it. It was just incredible.
So what do you think what is it that makes that? I mean,
age.
What is that about?
It's about Pinot Noir growing where it wants to grow, and then having the microbes that are present on that particular row in that particular vineyard in Clos de Vougeot, and whatever. I don't know. It's just phenomenal. It's amazing. It's like, again, it's like a musical performance. You've heard a performance by a musician time and time again, and then you happen to go to one place and you hear that musician play, and you'll never forget it.
Yeah.
But there's something you left out, Ken. It's not just those things. It's also the fact that bottle was 10 or 20 years old.
Well, it's the age that does it. Absolutely, Bob.
You can't make age.
Right.
If I go listen to my 8-track tapes, they sound so much better now.
I love those old 8-track cakes with, listening to Deep Purple. I could listen to one song and then click it 2 times to shift to the next one. It would pick up on my next favorite song.
Yeah. How perfect is that?
Yeah, this was in a half bottle, Bob. So it's aging, twice as fast as a big bottle. And it was from 1962. And this was 1988, I think, when I had it. So it was 20 years old, 25 years old. It was just spectacular.
Yeah. Can you get more to share with us?
Gordon bought a case of 99. And he shared one with me in like 2003 or 2004. And it was so damn rough. It was just, you could tell that maybe it was going to be brilliant, but you're going to have to wait a couple decades for sure.
Well, and think about that. Many of the wines made in Burgundy and in Bordeaux are meant to be laid down in a cellar for 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
And as a result, those wines actually don't taste very good when you first drink them. If you're drinking them at 5 or 10 years, because they're made to be aged, and if you don't add the age, they're just not what they're meant to be. So
it is hard. I mean, that's part of the things we struggle with, in part, I think, with a number of our wines. They really should be cellared down. The Red Scare should be put in a cellar and forgot about for a decade.
Yeah. And when it happens, I mean, when we've had some of our vertical tastings of our 10-year Red Scare, it's just fantastic what happens in 10 years of age. Not just Red Scare, many of our wines.
Yeah.
What about the Fauche Mead, Ken? The mead that you made? You made it with dried pears and your Fauche grapes.
Yes.
And it was 10 years old the last time I had it. It was one of those symphonies that's just like the crowning moment of the Beethoven overture just jumping out of the glass. It was wow.
Yeah, that was a great vintage.
And then we drank and it was gone.
Yeah.
Deidre says she's waiting for, what is that noise, Chuck? Sound like a foghorn coming in on Lake Umbagog. Deidre Hatch says she's waiting for something better than a 1985 Mouton our neighbor opened and poured for us. Yeah, you might wait a long time for that. That was probably a pretty spectacular experience.
Oh yeah.
I wish I was there to join it. And yes, someday the Red Scare is going to compete. We gotta first we gotta age it for 10 or 15 years to get there.
This whole discussion has put into my mind that really what I need to do is to at least put, when I bottle Red Scare, I need to put at least a case or two into half bottles so that they'll age more rapidly.
It's a good idea. That's a great idea.
I need to do
I
that.
don't know. It's such a small bottle, though. I mean, let's look at it. It's half a.
Yeah, but Chuck, just think about it. You can get 10 years
bottle
of age in 5 years.
Really tiny. No.
Noah chimed in. He has 2013 SQN Grenache for me. I don't know what SQN is. Do you know? Anybody? You might have to explain that, Noah.
I don't recognize SQN, but I love Grenache. That's one of my top favorite grapes by far. Yes,
Mourvedre, Grenache, and Syrah.
Syrah, yes.
Yes. So Greg says a large bottle format for perfection.
There, exactly. Yes. We have done that. We still have a few large bottles of I think it's the 17
Hermitage
Reserve.
And do we have the Hermitage too?
No, those all sold.
We sell those.
Those are all
so
sold.
We have the Petit Blue Reserve is still in. What size bottle is it? It's eight bottles or 5 bottles.
The Hermitage was in a 6 liter, and the Petit Blue Reserve was in a 3 liter.
So Noah responded with sine qua non. Again, I'm not familiar. Are either of you familiar with that?
Sounds legal.
No. Yeah, it's Latin.
Yes. It's good. He's no longer coming out here.
Ventura County.
We can't figure this out. He's like, okay, forget it. I'm not going to New Hampshire. Ventura. Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
Ventura.
Been to many wineries in Ventura. Yeah.
Ridden my bicycle through parts of Ventura.
The winery in California.
Janice had it.
So there's a winery called
SQN. SQN.
Is that right? No.
I guess so.
Is that the name of the winery?
I love the delay of responses and
yeah.
That's good.
So Marika supplied us all the questions for today, except the one from Greg.
Yep.
So I guess we can invite each other to ask questions of each other while we're waiting for our guest to come up with some questions. So Greg, Champanelli Restaurant.
La Brea.
Yeah, I'm not sure. 98 100 point wines. Ooh.
So, Bob, if you were restricted to only drinking one type of wine for the rest of your life, what would it be? If you were stuck, this is kind of like, the last food or what type of beer, but what type of wine would you drink without getting tired? No other choices, only one type. I know what your beer is. You'd have double IPAs for the rest of your life, but for wine, what style or particular vintage or type of wine would you like to drink?
Honestly, I keep going back to, first of all, I'm really keen on European style wines. Some of the best wines that I've enjoyed that I can afford. That's key, because those are the ones I drink more regularly. But wines from usually bigger, more full-bodied red wines from southern France, from Languedoc, and Provence.
Yeah.
I find most consistently to be able to purchase wines from those regions that really are just so enjoyable, easy to drink, nice with food. I enjoy, I try and keep it from happening too often. I know it's not good probably for me or the planet to consume too many big slabs of ribeye, but one of the greatest experiences that I have when we talk about meals and wine is having a really fine slice of meat and a really well-aged Southern French wine to go with it. And that's not to say there's lots of other wines. I mean, if I could afford, if money was no object, there's probably wines from all over France that I would pick, as we've talked about some of them already. But from a day-to-day basis right now, I find I can't go wrong usually with a Southern French
red
wine. Southern
How about you, Chuck?
I think it's an unfair question.
Oh,
it really puts a lot of pressure on one wine.
Well, would you give up? What would you give up? Provence reds for Dolgo?
So this is a sort of question, right? So there I am. All of my transgressions of life have led me to Hades, and my whole job is not to push a rock up a hill for eternity, but my job is to drink only one wine for eternity. It's like, right. Well, party on, first off. I mean, yay. I think I won the lottery of hell in that situation. But so I don't know. I think that the wine that pops into my head as an answer for this, because it's a mead. It's made from malty berries. It's rich. It's delicious. It has flavors that has music pitch that goes off the scale that I can even hear. That would keep me entertained for eternity would be Red Scare.
Awesome. I like Matt's response. He'd go with Brut.
Yeah.
You know, when I first thought
when
about
in doubt, go with a Brut.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of rosé. If I only had one wine,
no, I'd burn out on
to drink.
That's interesting. That's a great point, because rosé goes with, if you only had one wine. I mean, you're right on the money, because rosé goes with more foods. I mean, we've had this with our rosé at the winery when we've done pairings.
No,
it goes with more foods than any other wine that we.
Bob, you don't have this option. You don't have this option. You just are sitting there with one wine for the rest of your life. You're not pairing it with foods. You're not sitting down and having a nice meal. You just have to drink.
You're still having. You might still have it with food. You're not going to be, in eternity.
He said one wine. He didn't say you're starving.
Okay, I took it to the extreme. Okay, all right. I would burn out on rosé anyway.
Yeah.
But let me say one other thing: is that my carcass being in front of this is just really an awful thing. So I'm going to be over here, and you guys can look at that.
All right, that's nice. All right, I like Marika. Yeah, beer and cider. I mean, I remember being asked this question once with a group of friends, and we were, stranded on a desert island. What's the one drink you're going to have? And it was a porter. That was it for me. Was that style of beer? A porter, yeah.
Wow.
I could drink porters. Chuck fell in the lake. He doesn't want to obscure people's view.
I can't. Something happened on my screen here. So wait, hang on. Let me see what's going on here. So all I see on my screen is the lake now.
Yeah, that's all I see on my screen.
Yeah.
No, all I see. Yeah. You're off. You're not even in the picture, Chuck.
I know. Well, because
he moved to the side.
Yeah, because that was such a beautiful thing. I don't know. Didn't anybody enjoy that? I mean, wait a minute. This.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, stay to the side, Chuck.
Technical difficulties.
Oh, really? I'm insulted. How are we doing on time, Bob? Bob, how are we doing on time?
He's muted now. You're muted.
Bob, we can't hear you.
Are we all back?
Yeah, you're back. Okay.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
How are you doing on time,
I
Bob?
think Geraldine was tagging in on the video a little bit, and all of a sudden we only have a little bit of signal, and I had to share it.
Yep.
Ah,
Oh boy.
We're back. So I don't know what happened that last couple minutes, but Chuck disappeared, and all we saw was a beautiful lake, and then so
that was on
I don't
purpose.
know where we're at. Yeah.
That was on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So where were we?
We're
So this
an
is
hour. We're an hour in, Bob.
We're an hour in. Yes.
Yeah.
And wait, let's see. We have another question. Let's see. Greg, I have a question from Marika. Oh, wait.
I like
Marika's
this.
going to have to answer that. Yeah.
That's right.
Talk amongst yourselves. We'll just sit
Yeah.
here.
Right. Fruit-based sours.
I'm going to have some wine.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's
Cheers.
my problem too, Chuck. Empty.
Oh, no. You know what time it is?
Martini time.
Martini time.
It's 6:30.
Yeah.
We've once again squandered another hour on all of you folks. Thank you for for joining us from all over the Eastern Seaboard to ask us questions, which we really didn't do, except for Marika. Thank you, Marika, for all those interesting
Right, those are
questions.
good
That was
questions.
very
Great
helpful.
questions.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marie.
If there's something, if any of you do feel there's a question you really would like to know, please send it along. We'll be happy to answer either.
What do we talk about next week, Bob?
Geez, I don't know. I think next week's a tasting, isn't it?
Is it a tasting? It could be.
So let's see. Next week is September 20th. It's a tasting. It's a wine tasting next week. So
Oh, good.
which wines are we tasting? I'll have to look. Tune in next week for a wine tasting. I'll get that posted out there. So if you're interested in joining us, you can get those wines shipped to you, or you can pick them up at the winery. But so that brings us to another close of another wonderful hour. So thank you all for joining us and bantering with us and talking about all these wonderful experiences and wines from around the world. Cheers from Kentucky, from Matt.
Oh, he's in Kentucky.
And hopefully Marika will answer Greg's. Yeah. Hopefully Marika will answer Greg's question before the end of the show here. So hey, look forward to getting back. I'll be back on Wednesday. Chuck, you coming back tomorrow?
Yeah, back tomorrow, but then I'm flying to Zurich, then flying to Zurich, then flying to Zurich, then flying to Madrid, then flying to Madrid. So I don't actually know where I'll be next Monday.
All right.
So
we won't see you for the latter half of the month.
Yeah, we will.
That's good.
All right.
Very
Cheers,
good.
everybody. Tune in next
Cheers,
Monday
everyone.
at 5:30. All right. We're signing
Very
off.
good. All right. Good night, everyone.